everybody, welcome back to Live Free and Tool On. Today we're going to be talking about oscillation tools. Specifically, we're going to talk about the old Ryobi oscillating tool and comparing it to the new HP oscillating tool, and really what are the differences are and if it makes sense to upgrade them. We're going to be putting them to a head-to-head test, and a pretty grueling test, especially for a multi-tool, aka an oscillating tool. But before we get into that, let's actually take a closer look at these tools, and we're going to start with the old tool, and this is the P246, and this is a pretty versatile tool, and the reason why is because this head actually comes off of it. And let's go ahead and take it off. Okay, and when you take it off, you see a gearbox in here, and this is kind of like your expanded tools for your weed eaters and the blowers and the chainsaw, stuff like that. But this is more job focused on the 18-volt platform. And you can see that you have a shaft in here. It's a universal shaft that connects to different heads, and right here it says rigid job max compatible. So you have jigsaws, different things in there. And then you can also rotate the head on different directions depending on how you would need to use this. This is a tooled blade change out, so you would need to take this off and then you would tighten it back down. And the head has its own identification number as well, and part number, that's P570. This tool goes from 0 to 20,000 oscillations per minute, and I'm just going to leave that off just for a second. It does have a variable speed trigger, and you saw me just put another head on here, and the reason why is because I actually went and got the rigid job max head for this, and because it is a toolless blade change. So this is really what we're going to be doing a comparison on, is the best head for this tool compared to the new tool itself. But like I said, this still is 0 to 20,000 oscillations per minute. And that's on a pull trigger right here, and it's a variable speed. So you can't set your speeds specifically, but you can throttle the trigger, and that'll allow you control over the speed and what you're actually doing on the job. This does come with a magnetic tray as well. I've never actually used a magnetic tray on this tool, but it's a pretty good feature to have. Something else that people may or may not know is that it does have a little storage bin under here, and that's actually for your keyed heads. So for your different heads, you can put them under here if you have that. Most bits these days, you know, you really don't need that, so it's not really widely known because a lot of people just don't use it. Alright, let's switch over to the new PBL MT50. This seems like it's a very cool tool. The reason why is because it is a dedicated oscillating tool, which means it's a one-trick pony. You're only going to use this for oscillating tools, which is okay because I've only ever used this for oscillating as well. I didn't invest in all the other different heads just because I have dedicated tools for those, like jigsaws. This does feature a toolless blade change. You push this up, it stays in place, and then you can push this over if you have a rounded bit that would need to slide on top of it. You push it back, you lock it down, you're good to go. And I'm actually going to demonstrate that real quick. And what I mean is by a full circle is that it doesn't have the opening on the back of it. It is just a full circle. So what you would do is you would push this over, just like so. You would pull it out. This would go over top. And then you would slide it back over. Sorry, I'm doing this blind. Push it back into place, lock it down, and you're good to go. Now, if we wanted to do this on the other tool, and being that it's a toolless blade change, you want to make sure that you have the ability to do this. On this one, it's basically the same thing. This spins out, it goes out, this goes on, and this is actually what I've been using on this particular tool for a while now. You hold it in place here, lock it, and you're good to go. So let's go ahead and take this off. Just a good point of reference if you like these types of blades with the maximum contact. If it's a full circle, It is compatible with both Job Max and this head, and of course if it's a tool, it's just a screw on, it is going to be compatible there as well. But getting back to this tool, it does feature a light. So when you turn this on, that's your job light. It is at the front of the tool, it's not down below like this. And that allows to eliminate a lot of shadows, which is fantastic because you do get a lot of shadows here. This is a switch, so it's on and off, and then it has a dial under here that goes from 1, you spin it all the way up to 6, so you have a lot of controllability within this tool. And if you're in a tight space somewhere, you don't really have to worry about throttling the trigger, you know, getting into spaces. You can just turn this on and control your speed as needed. So that's a really great feature of this particular tool. It does have a mounting space for a tool belt clip as well. It didn't come with one. Shame on you, Ryobi. You really should put, you know, your belt clips with all your tools if they have the ability to have a belt clip. It doesn't cost that much money, and it's a great feature for these tools, especially if you're going up ladders and things like that. You know, so it's a very good build. The rubber over molding and the grips are, yeah, they're good on both. I'm going to do a couple tests in order to figure this out for you all. And something that I haven't really done in the past is the delicacy of the tools. But first, let's talk about the power. I'm going to make a cut straight through this 2x4, and I'm going to cut through a 16D 3.5-inch nail here as I cut through the board. And this is going to be a plunge cut, and I want to cut straight through that nail. And I'm going to do one on each side, one for each of the tools. And this is going to show you how well the tool puts the power down into the material. The second test, this is where the delicacy comes into play. This is just a very small 1/4-inch underlayment board, so it has a really soft core inside of it. What I want to do is I want to start on a lower speed because that's where you want to control the power and how it puts it down. And I want to cut halfway through this wood here, and then I want to come right down the center and I want to fillet it right in half. And I think the controllability and you know, how delicate you can be with the tool, especially on fine woodworking, that's really going to help you. I understand you don't do this all the time, but there are times when you need to be delicate with these multi-tools. So without further ado, let's go ahead, let's get into the power, and then let's get into the other delicate test. Alright everybody, so in order to do this test, I am using fully charged 3 amp hour HP batteries for both tools. And for the blade, I'm going to be using the general purpose Diablo carbide tooth blade. This is meant to be used for nail embedded wood. So you know, once we go through the wood, we cut through the nails, this shouldn't have any problems and it shouldn't dull. But with that being said, it's going to be fair and equal. I have 2 of these blades, 1 for each tool. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's move the camera. There we go. You see I cut it. Okay everybody, so I'm not going to sit here and say that I thought that this was going to compete on the same level of putting power down to the material. I knew that this was going to come up a little short. But some of the things that I didn't know is that the efficiency of the work was going to be so much better in the new tool. I felt a lot of slop, a lot of play in this tool, so I really had to feather it and I really had to be super gentle just because of the play in the head, how I had to move my hand as I was navigating the material and making my plunge cuts, and then it's that moving around, you know, just the ergonomics of it was a little bit harder with this particular tool. With that being said, it was not as fast, especially when I was just trying to lay the power down. So when I was cutting this wood, and you can see the nail in it, you really could hear the sound notes of when I hit the nail. And I could feel the vibrations and just the echo of the power come through this tool on my hand, which I really had to grip the tool in order to get the job done a little bit harder. And if you're doing this all day with this tool, that's really going to start to hurt your wrist, you know, your joints. It's really just uncomfortable in general. Now, when we start to look at this tool, the power efficiency and how it was laying it down was really good. It's surprisingly good. And once you turn the tool on, you can, you know, move it around. The ergonomics are good. You can navigate your material a lot better with this particular tool, and the usability of it and how you put the power down with the dial, I think really sells the tool itself. When I use this tool, especially on the delicate material, it was not easy, just because this is a wild man tool. I mean, just listen to it, you know, and listen to this one here. I mean, the harmonics itself tells you, I don't know what the dB is of it, but this has got to be upwards of like 80 or 90 dB. This is much quieter, it's much more tame, and it's much better at putting the power down. So, you know, I was able to cut that little piece of 1/4 inch underlayment super easy. In fact, I've got it right here, and I felt confident in my cut here, so you can actually see it's a lot straighter. Okay, let's do a little side-by-side. I don't know what's going to show up on the camera, but if you look at this one here, this has, you know, a bit of a ripping action instead of a cutting action. Now, using the same bit in a different tool, you know, look how clean that cut is. And I think that really tells the tale with these two tools. This is a wild man. It's going to get the job done. It may not be as accurate as what you would want to be with this. This is more surgically accurate. But, you know, ride the bull. You'll get it done with this one eventually. Wear ear protection if you're going to use this one. You know, I would also recommend some ear protection here, but hey, it is a bit quieter. In terms of the light, I was definitely right. This does have more shadows onto it, but it's a different type of tool. This doesn't have as many shadows, and it's much more efficient. So, you know, with that being said, I hope that this helps someone if you're in the market and if you're looking at upgrading to this tool. You know, as you can see what I demonstrated, it did it great. Nail embedded wood, a 2x4, you know, a delicate material. You can really do a lot with this. If you like the content, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Hey, we'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching.